Today we're jumping in some Hogwarts Legacy and I'm going to be going over my top 10 tips for new players to the game. These will help you massively in your quest and will give you the best possible start you can have. That's up next. Welcome back everybody. Today it's finally released, or officially released should I say. Obviously there was the early play, but officially Hogwarts Legacy is out today. Now there's a lot of things to do in this game and the game is really good at guiding you for a lot of them, but there's a few things after playing around 30 or 40 hours that I wish I'd done differently at the start of the game. So these are going to be my top 10 tips helping you all to get a great head start. So first off, very early on in the game you are going to learn Revelio. I would say one thing that you'll need to know is exploring, looking around and just getting around in general is going to be something you'll want to do. Revelio is going to be used all the way through your playthrough. This will help you to find some of the hidden loot, some of the items you want to gather, and in general it's just going to make things easier to obtain. At the same time you're going to want to be navigating and looking around the areas you're in, especially because walking past certain areas activates their flue flame. And a flue flame is, think of it as a fast travel. As you can see here, there's an abundance of fast travels around and they're only activated once you've walked past them. The game itself is actually quite big. Only when I started zooming out on the map did I realise how little I'd actually done. And it also does a great job of letting you know the areas and what you've actually done within them. So as you can see on the right, all of the collectibles and such. A really big map that you won't start tackling until later on in the game. A great tip to know as well though is that you should be using your tracking very often as it helps you to navigate, get around Hogwarts and of course other areas. Another nice simple tip if you do want to fast forward the time of day, so mainly probably from night to day, in order to complete certain quests, then you can do that by activating the corresponding button. On the Xbox it's by clicking in the right analog. Again, very early on in the game, there's two choices that are permanent straight away. And that's going to be your house choice that you make and of course your wand. With the house choice you're going to have your ceremony very close to the start of the game and this is going to determine your dorm, whether it be Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw or Slytherin. Don't worry, ultimately you can choose whatever you want and even though you might be a bit worried, this isn't going to determine your gameplay, it's more so of a fashion choice, determining what colour your character is going to wear and which house you're associated with, so you will be spending more time in that part of Hogwarts. But remember, if you're not sure and you want to check them all out, just manually save before you do this option. Exactly the same again when you get to the part where you're going to be grabbing a wand. This is a cosmetic item so you will see it in your hand. Make one that you like the style of and don't worry too much because it's not going to affect your overall character, it's not going to give him any additional stats so you can't really go wrong. It's just a cosmetic choice and one that you keep throughout your playthrough. Jumping over to something you'll be doing an absolute abundance of and that's going to be quests. In general, quests come in three different types. The ones that are highlighted yellow are going to be your main quests that you need to complete in order to progress through the main campaign. The ones that look a bit like a sheet of paper are going to be your teacher assignments. These are actually very important as most times they're going to reward you with something you really need. Very often it's going to be a spell. And the other ones that are grey, they're going to be your subquests. Remember, if you want to see which ones you need to do or which ones you want to do, it's going to tell you the rewards of each on your quest menu, so you can determine which order you want to do them. Sometimes in order to proceed further in the main quest line, you will need to do other objectives. Sometimes it will be things like teacher objectives, other times you may need to check in your outpost to see if there's anything new that you've missed. Check things like these regularly if you get stuck on the main quest line. Now trying not to spoil this too much for anyone, the main quest line, I would say now, after playing for quite some time, I wish I'd progressed the main quest line a little bit faster than I did. You can find yourself wandering around, trying to get to places in areas you probably shouldn't be able to, but ultimately I would say if you possibly can, try instead to make it several hours into the game, probably to around about the Room of Requirement quest. Without letting too much out of the bag, if you get to this stage and complete this quest, a lot more will open up for your game. You'll be able to identify equipment, you'll have just done the quest allowing you to get a broomstick, and by now your talent tree will be unlocked. You'll be able to do a lot more from this point onwards. Now jumping over to talents, this is something that 100% everyone should know, as without this you can epically destroy your build and have absolutely no way of coming back from it, and that's that in this game there are quite a lot of talents to unlock, with 5 different trees to invest in: spells, dark arts, core, stealth and room of requirement. Obviously everyone will have their own unique playstyle, so you'll want to cater it to your own needs, but the main thing that you should 100% know is that there are 48 talents to unlock, but your character can only achieve 36 talent points when playing this game, so there will ultimately be 12 that you won't be able to obtain in any way, shape or form. This is something you really need to know. You need to plan it and work out which ones you're not going to take, in order to get the perfect build for your character. There's no reset token, there's no new game plus, so you will always be stuck with those 12 talents unobtainable. The only one I would say no matter who is playing this game will definitely want to unlock will be the first one here for your core, and that's going to be Spell Knowledge 1. This is going to give you an additional spell set, and it's just going to make your life a whole bunch easier. Now you can put 4 damage spells on one and have one you can switch over in order for your utility. Another thing you're going to want to know will be about your challenges. Challenges are going to be unlocked as you tackle and complete certain things such as your combat, quests, exploration, field guide pages, and again room of requirements. You're probably going to want to check the progress on this very often, because as you're playing the game you will unlock things here. These range from such things as trait items, cosmetics, and bringing me to my next one, some that you almost definitely can't live without. And that's going to be loot space. Loot space, loot space, loot space. Your inventory at the start of this game is, I would say, appalling. You only get 20 gear spaces, and it can be an absolute nightmare when you find something amazing like this, a legendary chest, and you just can't loot it. You only get 20 spaces overall, not for each slot, so at the start of the game you may find yourself having to dismantle things very often, which makes you lose out on a lot of gold. However, early on you're going to come across this lady just here, Nora Treadwell. After helping her dispatch of some bandits, she's going to teach you about Merlin trials. These are something you should 100% be trying to complete. They're small puzzles that you can tackle pretty much at any time, and they're dotted around the world with over 90 to find. But completing a certain amount of these will reward you with milestones, and once they're turned in, they're going to upgrade your inventory by 4 each time. This is something you should really invest in early. It's really going to help you out, and it's going to mean you don't have to deconstruct things and lose out on all the money you would have had from selling them at shops. If you need to know what they look like on the map, then you're going to be keeping an eye out for these leaf symbols right here. As you can see here, I'm at 24 now. Ideally, you probably want to be over 32 in order to make your life a bit easier. And speaking of making your life easier, money, 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 it makes the world go round, and in Hogwarts Legacy, without it, you can find yourself a little bit stuck. Obviously, as you're going around, you're going to be looting, you will find little bits of money here and there, but ultimately, especially early game, you can be a little bit lacking for this resource. One great way, like I said earlier, is going to be to sell off your gear. Anytime you've got gear that's way under leveled or the stats are absolutely awful, you can sell it off and you're going to make yourself a bit of money. The money you get is determined by the rarity of the gear, so grey being the worst, then green, then blue, and of course purple and legendary, the gold ones, are going to be worth the most. However, if that's still not enough and you find yourself in a bit of a dilemma, then you can always search out these eyeball chests just here, conceal yourself with your invisibility spell, and then you'll be able to make your way towards them and open them up. And each one of these is going to reward you with 500 gold. One quick tip, there is an abundance in Hogsmeade. You can get yourself about 6k very, very easy. And I should have a video out on that tomorrow if you do find yourself stuck. Now, if you're thinking, that's great, but what happens if I want to hold on to these items because of the cosmetic value? I want to look amazing. I want my character to have the best gear for looks wise. Don't worry, everything you obtain in the game, as soon as you obtain it, it's going to be unlocked for your cosmetic or transmog system. So if we bop over to my character here, if I want to change his scarves, I'm just going to go into this and then change the setting, allowing me to make my character look how I want, even if that's not the piece of gear I'm going to be wearing. So you could quite easily make a green piece of item look like a legendary, or vice versa, whenever you want. Delete whatever items you don't want, it's not going to make a difference because the cosmetic effect is still going to be here. onto one that you'll definitely want to know about, and that's going to be combat. Combat is something you'll be tackling within this game over and over again, so knowing how to get good at it fast is going to be very helpful. As you can see here, he's going to pop a shield, and then we're going to pop it. When you know what you're doing, shields are absolutely no problem. If you don't know what you're doing, they can be a bit of a nightmare. This was when I first played, hence the awful combat, but learning the basics, especially about shield breaks, and knowing when to cast Protego yourself in order to shield you from damage, is going to make your combat so much smoother. So if we jump into a bit of combat here, this person, their shield has been broken, and they had a purple shield. The only way you can break shields is by using a spell of the corresponding colour. So it'll be yellow for your control spells, red for your damage spells, purple for your full spells, and I don't know if you come across this, it depends how early you venture out, but grey would be if you don't have a spell unlocked of that category, which you could still probably break by your ancient throw. But a few things to know in combat: activating your Protego when you get that perfect circle always works out best, as it'll activate some of the things you earn in your talent tree. This is going to send their spell back at them, and you're going to shoot off a Stupefy, allowing you to daze another opponent. A great thing to know, which I only learnt whilst doing this video, is that when you do your Ancient Magic Throw, so LB on the Xbox, this actually classes as an iframe. So if you press that, even if a spell is going to hit you, you're going to do a cool little effect where you spin around and avoid it. However, it's not all about blocking, and whilst Protego is amazing and you should be using it very often, you can also use dodge in order to roll and avoid spells or enemies that are about to attack you. And sometimes this is the only way to actually negate damage. So for example, if I show you here, I am about to get hit, I activate my Protego and it goes straight through and does me damage. That's because the red ones that you see with this effect are unblockables. So with this one, you'll want to dodge out of the way or be able to take them down before they hit you with it. Ultimately, once you get good with combat, it'll be all about linking your basic attack into your heavier spells in order to do a lot of damage. And if all else fails, you could always run away to live another day by jumping on your broomstick. But yeah, there's a lot to do in Hogwarts Legacy, it's a lot of fun to play, and hopefully these tips will help you out. Just as a last one, if you did want to, with your combat again, there is a setting that you can change over in this option here. Leaving it on means you're going to be toggling between the characters you're attacking with the right analog stick, or turning it off gives a kind of soft lock feature and a more free aim. So toggle this on or off and see which one you prefer. But yeah, as always, for all things gaming, take care. I'll see you on the next day.